Hello there, and welcome back to Tradie Business School podcast, the podcast where we're talking all things to do with running a trades business and helping you to make more money with less time and have a fantastic business. I'm joined by Barry Magladidi. If I say that correctly, he always corrects me when I say his last name, and Miranda Hill. Welcome, guys. I'm really glad you're here. We're having lockdown together because we're here today to talk about lockdowns and how that affects businesses. And thankfully, we are being COVID safe because we are in different parts of the world right now.
It was funny the other day. I was running a group coaching call and people turned up with masks in the group coaching call. I was like, really? They're really being quite careful on this group coaching call on Zoom. And then I realised they were based in New South Wales. And they were in the workplace, so they had to wear a mask in the workplace. But at first I thought it was a bit of a joke. There we go. Thank you.
We should probably wear a mask during the whole podcast.
I was just going to say, sure, we shouldn't wear masks just to be super safe.
Just to be safe, because it can come across the electronics.
Yep.
Yeah. And look, we are being a bit ridiculous, but let's be honest, regardless of where you stand on the whole pandemic situation, the whole jab situation, there is some ridiculous rules going around right now, regardless of where you sit in those situations. That aside, that doesn't take away from the fact that you and I, we still have businesses to run. And, this conversation takes me back to, when did this whole stuff start? Was it March 2019?
It was March 2020, around then.
Was it 2020?
Yeah.
Okay.
Last year.
Seems like it's been going on much longer. But I remember we recorded a training, which was Don't Panic Plan, because this thing just kind of launched. There's a lot of uncertainty going on. And we launched this training. And I remember that something that really helped me manage all of the chaos and confusion and the changes in rules and regulations every other day, it was a couple of things. The first thing was really limiting the amount of time that I spent on social media. And so my first piece of advice of the best way to manage lockdown is that often you have a lot more time. Just make sure that time's not being spent consuming social media.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. That's the first thing.
Absolutely. I think the other thing is when a government body has imposed restrictions on your business on what you can and what you can't do, it's very easy to focus on what you can't do. It's very easy to focus on the negativity and get angry and pissed off and frustrated with what you can't do. However, the people who are actually successful in these times are the people who focus on what they can do. And I know we've spoken to many clients who have seen this as a huge opportunity in lockdowns to systemize their business, or actually to get the back end in order, ready to go for when they do open up, because maybe they've been so incredibly busy that they haven't had the time, so to speak. We've spoken about that on previous episodes about challenges about time. I'd encourage you to listen to those if you haven't already. But when you do have time, what we choose to do with that time really does matter.
So many businesses at the moment, and I know your listeners out there will be affected differently, and you'll be in different parts of the country, and some might not even necessarily even be in lockdown when you're listening to this. But there's so many. Some businesses are more busy. Some businesses are continuing to operate pretty much as normal, and some are affected. And from what I'm noticing, is the ones that are quite greatly affected. Those that might be in a service area that is impacted through changing needs of the market. However, those that are also affected quite a lot are those that maybe didn't take care of the back end of business and get the basics in place all the way through. And so they're in a more vulnerable, weakened position now when there's rapid change in the market and the environment. And there's a lot of change. It's changing rapidly. And it might settle for a while, and this may flare up again. So this episode will still be relevant, in 6 months' time, if things come and flare again. and we suddenly get into a stage of rapid change. But circling back to what you said earlier, Michael, about the frustration, there are some funny, crazy things going on that are causing frustration. I've been witnessing it firsthand in our clients. And I suppose the first tip I would add to it is just be really aware when you're taking that on. It's seeping into you. You're carrying the frustration of the change with you and focusing on how it's affecting you, what you can't do. And like as Michael said, focus now on what you can do. Just notice when you're actually carrying it with you, because it will weigh you down and alter your resilience and the way that you face things.
Yeah. It's a really good point. And I guess a different angle from the same conversation is that, if this whole situation has taught anyone anything, it's that we have a lot less control than what we potentially realize. And as many of you know, I love to surf, and I often see this can relate to surf. I haven't got any control over the swell, direction, when the waves come, the swell size, the wind, none of that stuff. What I can control is where I choose to position myself in the ocean. What I can control is when I choose to go surfing and when I choose to go home. What I can control is what board I choose to take and what I choose to wear. Now, to some reason, it's almost ingrained in us as a human experience to often complain, right? And to buy into the drama. Yet, is that getting us what we want? Right? Complaining about the lockdowns or complaining about the situations, like you're deeming yourself powerless because you can't actually change that. And so realize right now that what you have got control over is your thinking, is your energy, and is the way that you choose to invest your time. And so it's very easy to sit there and be like, oh, I can't work, therefore I can't make money, or I can't do this job, or I can't get supplies, or whatever else. But very much like you said, Michael, it's like, let's put all that aside, because you can't change that. But what are the things that you can change? The people that I've seen do the best out of this last 12 months is the ones that have been most adaptable to that change, right? And the change of the conditions. The one they've chosen to be really focused with their thinking, with the decisions that they make and how they choose to invest time. And something that I've personally found, think about this. We have this seesaw in life, and on one side of the seesaw is certainty. And on the other side of the seesaw is variety and uncertainty. Now, some people do quite well with uncertainty. Yet if all they had in life was 100% uncertainty, that would break them. And vice versa. Some people do better with certainty. And if all they had was complete certainty, they'd go crazy too much. We need this interplay between variety and certainty. And so right now, there is a lot of uncertainty that's being forced upon us. So therefore, what we can do is we can control the amount of certainty we bring in. And so something that I found really helped me is by bringing in a solid morning ritual, right? Setting myself up with meditation, with exercise, with journaling, and with setting out to plan my days and my weeks in the morning before I get on my phone, before I check social media, before I check emails from teams or text messages and stuff like that. And I found that through having that daily routine has allowed me to a lot better manage the variety, the uncertainty. And it's also brought about some phenomenal innovations throughout my company.
And if you're out there, and definitely I love that, and having those routines and rituals also apply to your personal world and personal care as well as in business. Keep up with the routines and rituals and taking care of business. Don't go, well, I don't need to do things right now because things are all different. Keep the basics running. Keep doing your books. Keep looking at your numbers. Keep reconciling things. Keep taking care of clients in just the same way, because that is what will carry you through from a mindset and psychological well-being perspective, is bringing that certainty in, as well as it'll keep your business running and strong so you're ready and you've got the momentum when you can start moving. The other thing I'd add as well is start looking for opportunity. There is a lot of opportunity opening up as other business owners take the it's too hard road, or the I'm frustrated, or I'm just going to go home and sit home and wear my Uggs, whatever it is. So there is opportunity opening in many, many ways. So what if you just for a moment looked and went, where is the opportunity in this for me?
100%.
Yeah, I remember.
Focusing what you can do as opposed to what you can't do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember Warren Buffett said one of his investing advices was like, get fearful when people are greedy and greedy when people are fearful. And, some of the most money and largest growth in companies have happened through global financial crises. We can't be open to see that opportunity if we're focusing on what's happening to us. I remember when this started last year, I flew into Perth in March to run the event for the Game Changers and to see my kids for 2 weeks, and left my home in Bali. And then lockdown happened. Perth got locked down. Borders got locked down. I couldn't go back to Bali. I was stuck in Perth for nearly 5 months, right, which wasn't my home. Now, it would have been very easy for me to have complained and moaned and groaned, but I made a decision that I was going to come out of the pandemic stronger, fitter, healthier, smarter, and more financially wealthy as a result of COVID than before I went into it. And something that kept me really on that point was to have a list every day of things that I check off. Things like, reading a book for 15 minutes, doing my morning meditation, doing my exercise, and so forth. And as a result of that, that certainty put me in a perfect position to focus on opportunities. It didn't mean that many of my businesses weren't hurting and experiencing massive changes. But again, it was a constant reminder every day of that ritual and routine to have me focusing on the opportunity, have me focusing on what you said, Michael, which is what I can do. Now, this seems super simple, but just take a moment right now and reflect on the last 12 months. Have you been somebody that's just ran at this thing and gone like, I'm going to make this thing mine. Like, I'm going to get through this healthier, fitter, stronger, financially better off? Or have you been someone that's got caught up in the drama, in the stories, in the complaints about what's going on and what's happening to you and what you can't control? Like, be honest with yourself, because we've all been there. We've all experienced that. Yet this conversation is an important conversation for you to go, okay, well, has that way of being got you the results you want? It never does, right? No. Versus times that you've taken the bull by the horns, you've taken action, you've charged towards what you want. Has it been easy? No. But this is where leaders, this is where entrepreneurs, this is where great businesses are built right now, right in the ring.
Yeah. It reminds me of a very simple example. When I was young and I was naughty, I was told to go to my room. And I hated going to my room because my freedom was taken away. I didn't want to go to my room. Don't tell me what to do, and I'd run, kicking and screaming and crying and like I'd be really upset with mum. And I remember having this conversation with mum, and she would say when she was told to go to her room as a little girl, she got really excited because she could read the book that she wanted to read without anyone interrupting her. And so the exact same event, but a completely different perspective on how to manage or the perspective of that event. So that's saying that it's not what happens to us, it's what we make that mean.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Whether it's a global pandemic, whether it's a financial crisis, whether it's your kid getting the chicken pox, right? Or your wife being too sick to work, or husband, whatever it is, like there's always going to be something, guys, right? Like this, like I'm telling you right now from my experience, you don't get to a point where there's no challenges. The challenges just get bigger, but you also get better at dealing with them. So now is your opportunity to really focus on like, what can I do? And put your energy and attention into that rather than focusing on or complaining about what you can't do.
There's another angle I wanted just to round out the conversation with, and that's the people part. So we've been talking to all listeners as one person, one business owner, and how you can look at in your approach and how you can look at the lockdown or whatever change is going on. The other angle is the others, the people in your world, being it loved ones, being it family, or your team. So knowing that they also will be facing similar things, it can be very easy when we go into these stages of what I would call survival, when we're under pressure, things are changing, and we start beginning to feel like we're fighting for our survival, to make it and just focus on us, because it's just how we're wired as human beings. So I'd encourage you all to stop for a moment and go, how can I bring some understanding, some love, some compassion to the others in my life, my team, knowing that they will be facing similar things potentially. that they could take different meaning, just as Michael beautifully illustrated with his story from the very same events. Now you can bring a great mindset to it. So then you can start taking care of others and going, how are you? How are you guys going? Is there anything that you need? Just ask that question of your team and of the people in your life and check in on them.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, Miranda. I completely overlooked that, but I remember again when this all kicked off, one thing that I felt made a real difference for us was us reassuring the team that no matter what happened, we've got them.
Yeah.
You know, our team and our clients. And I think that that's what really helped us because and it was a constant thing. It wasn't like we said it once and the team like, oh yeah, we got that. It's like it was every week we had to remind the team because there was just so much going outside of there. So yeah, really beautifully put and a nice way to round off this episode.
Well, there we go. I think we did it.
I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.